Hey everyone, had the opportunity to watch the video with Seal, Bob, and Daniel. And I took issue with a number of different things that were taking place. Even the physical space in which they held the meeting. I think a conference room table might have been a little bit better. Um, for Bob and Daniel to have such conflict with one another, it was interesting. They're inches from one another. Um, and I also felt like the crux of the issues weren't really addressed in this meeting. It was clear to me that Seal had met with Bob, that they got on the same page as far as how they would move forward and the operations. And it felt to me like following that meeting, they then decided to have this meeting with the three of them. It didn't seem that Seal and Daniel had the opportunity to meet. So when they're meeting now for the first time as a group of three, Daniel has a lot of issues to raise. And I kept waiting for Bob to maybe interject and say, no, that's not why I don't want to work with you. And we didn't get that from him. So it does seem that there's some issues, certainly between Bob and Daniel. And because Bob didn't speak up and say that there were other reasons as to why he was not going to work with Daniel, it does leave me to believe that he probably is discriminating against Daniel. I don't, however, believe the company is discriminating against Daniel. I don't believe Daniel would be taking on more work. It seems like the work was just going to be moved, involving, I believe it was Jennifer and Ralph. I think I may have those names wrong, but it didn't seem like Daniel was going to take on more work because of the conflict. However, I think the company needs to really address these issues a little bit more deeper. I think there needs to be further conversation. I think there needs to be some training modules that really dive into what inclusivity looks like in the workplace, what equity looks like in the workplace. I think there's some modules out there, I think, for any industry that focus on discriminatory harassment. And I think that would be really helpful for anyone that's working in that space to better understand what's responsible of them, how their actions could create a hostile work environment, so that they can be a little bit more mindful of their decision making. I thought from a theory standpoint, I immediately went to conflict theory, and looking at the different factors. I felt like this was probably task related as well as relationship related. I felt like those two really intersected with one another. Task related, really referring to the struggle of the process, the goals of how they were going to, meet the goals that they had. But then certainly too, the relationship related piece. There was some interpersonal disagreements that in my opinion, just weren't really addressed. And so I don't know if there was going to be a follow-up meeting, if they really were going to address the issues. But to me, it's not okay that Bob had an issue with Daniel and Bob no longer has to work with Daniel. And if this really is related to his sexual orientation, who's to say the next person also is not going to work with Daniel? And how that's going to make Daniel feel. And certainly as that kind of builds within the company, I think the company is going to run into some issues related to discriminatory harassment, some EEOC issues. And so I think the way it's handled, there's going to be additional issues. And certainly if indeed there are other individuals at the company that are not willing to work with Daniel, and let's say it's because of his sexual orientation, then yeah, I think Daniel's going to have a really good case for a hostile work environment, and it's going to create some additional HR issues for the company. And so I would hope that they're going to offer some more opportunities for learning, for growth, for professional development, to really focus on how they can embrace inclusion, how they can meet their goals, how they can work together. But yeah, a lot of the different issues going on at play. And again, just didn't sit right with me how close they were together, and which I know is not the point of the video, but that was something that I picked up on as I have, been able to facilitate a number of different mediations. So thank you for listening, and that's all I've got. Bye.